On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Nick returns to usher in the new primetime slot for the SWTS. The dudes will break down Episode 4 of Alien Earth, while also featuring a crossover segment that asks the question, what would the Empire do about a hybrid like Wendy? Stay tuned for this new era of the show and the usual live stream shenanigans. Of course, they'll end the show with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show in our new time slot. It's a poopy time slot. I don't like it. I'm guessing some of you don't like it. I see Beyond the Dune Sea drops their new episode in 26 minutes, so I'm guessing a lot of people will disappear if they even show up. Who knows why I even do this show anymore, but I am here to kick off a new era of the SWTS as young Nick has taken a new position at South by Southwest, which makes him go work for the man. So that pushes his schedule back, and hopefully he can start joining us around 8 o'clock East to go through the main topic, which this week is, yes, you guessed it, more Alien Earth. This week, Episode 4, Observation, doing the deep dive, doing the Star Wars crossover. You know how we roll over here. So welcome everyone. If you're new, hopefully you stick around. If you're old school, what are you doing here? There's better things to do on your Wednesday night. We're usually wrapping the show by 7:35, not starting it. So we'll kind of see how this goes. This is not ideal for me, to be honest with you. I don't like doing it this late because I lose a full night with the little kid. I know her and her mom are probably going to do something and hang out, so that's good for them, but I definitely have a little bit of FOMO while I still have a young child, so we'll see how this time shift goes. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen with the Star Wars Time Show. You know, we'll give it a few weeks, running at 7:30 me solo, hopefully Nick coming in around 8 East to do our main segments, and then hopefully finishing before 9:30 East would be my preference. And if it sucks, I don't know. Maybe we get rid of the show. Maybe it becomes a solo person show only, so I can do it at 5:30 again. Would not be my preference. I do like having Nick around. It's way more fun for me. I think the conversation's better for you all. But when it comes down to it, this is a show that almost no one watches. So I do wonder, is my time worth it? Is it worth it to be doing at a time I don't want to be doing it, if that makes sense to anyone? So, and who knows if anyone even shows up. At least we got Kramer in there, we got League in there, and a Mascot Galaxy official dropped in. Who knows what's going on? But I have a feeling this new time slot's going to make things a little quiet. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, if you listen to podcasts only, it doesn't really affect you. You still get the show on Thursdays. I just don't know how good it's going to be when I have to solo it for the first half hour, 45 minutes. And you know us, we'll probably have a tech issue once Nick does show up, whenever he shows up. But I digress. I'm here. Hey there, Divided. We got a live body in here in the new time slot of the SWTS. Will anyone come? Will anyone care? I highly doubt it, but I am still here, and I am committed to breaking down Alien and talking about some Star Wars crossovers. Excuse me. I've got, does anyone ever get it? You get like a nose hair that starts to drip down your nasal cavity, and then you kind of have to cough it up or hack it up to clear it. I'm definitely dealing with one of those right now. So if you hear me hacking, and I can't hit the cough button because I don't have Nick to talk for me, I apologize. I'm a pig. If I manage to hack it out live on air, I'll try to scoop it off my tongue and show you on the camera just to prove I'm not nuts. It could be mustache hair, you never know, but I do think it's nose hair, unfortunately. Anyone else very good at growing nose hair? Or is that a me thing only? Just me? Just me? Okay. This is already too quiet for my liking, but we'll press on. Thanks to those of you that have showed up in the chat here. If you ever do want to join the live stream chat of the SWTS, we now kick off the show Wednesdays, 7:30 p. Eastern, as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right. So let's do it. Again, I'll be your host to do kind of the knick-knacky stuff we usually talk about when a show kicks off. We always have the opening BS, which I'm doing right now. And then we transition into Ask Me Anything, which it is going to be an AMA these days because young Nick will not be here. And hopefully by the time I'm done answering questions, Nick is close to showing up, because I actually did not go see a new movie last week because there's really nothing worth seeing. So I don't even have a pop culture review to dive in. So if anyone is listening here in the live stream, is there any pop culture stuff you need me to comment on after Ask Me Anything? Please drop that comment in the chat. Speaking of the chat, we got a poll up there and the leaderboards as always. We've got who we got? Mike at 1, League at 2, Divided at 3 in the regular chat, and then we've got Mascot and Bango 1, 2, and it up in the vertical. All right, so without further ado, let's see what the fans wanted to know this week for this edition of Ask Me Anything. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and do one of these, do one of those. There's the question. All right, this one is coming in from Rippick__tan. Good friend over on Instagram, a top-notch toy photographer. What Rippick is asking for, or for me to answer, is last good stick it to the man moment, big or small. Stick it to the man moment, big or small. I'm trying to think. I mean, these days with the world we live in, especially over here in the States, I don't know if I want to boast about sticking it to the man, because they may send the FBI over here and search my house. Let me think here. Stick it to the man. When's the last time I got one over on Big Brother or our corporate overlords or government in general? I'm trying to think. I can't really. I mean, I'm like so stuck in my little world, work from home world, cellar dweller, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to think, where did I stick it to the man the last time, big or small? Oh, maybe today, and this really isn't the man, but my doctor was going to charge me 200 big ones for some cosmetic dermatology surgery. I had like a cyst on my forehead that was turning into a little white horn. I could not pick it out myself, so he had to cut it out. I had another one over here they burnt, and I had one in my eye that they burnt. But because he was running behind, he waived the $200 fee. So there you go. They're sticking it to the man. I guess I kind of got it stuck to me because I had to sit around for almost 30 minutes longer than I was expecting. But I did get some free cosmetic dermatology-esque surgery. So that was a bonus because that was going to cost me, like I said, $200 out of pocket because it was considered cosmetic. But I did not want to end up on Dr. Pimple Popper 10 years down the road with a horn coming out of my forehead, hypothesizing, how could this have happened? Why does it look this way? I've never understood the people on that show, I mean, God bless you that this stuff happens. It's out of our control. Cysts will start growing, especially the older you get. That's another joy of being in your 40s. Apparently, you're more prone to growing cysts on your face. God knows where else. But if you think Dr. Pimple Popper, if you ever seen it, I mean, these people show up with just atrocities hanging off their head that usually started as a little tiny cyst like I had, but they'll let it go for 10, 15, 20 years for whatever reason. So they end up, looking like unicorns. They're ostracized in public. I just don't get it. So people, here's your PSA. go to a dermatologist if you have growths coming out of your body. All right? Please. Please. If you have growths, get them taken care of early on so you don't end up on TV with some lady squeezing yellow pus and cyst sacs out of your body. You know what I mean? Yeah. It sounds like League has definitely tuned into Dr. Pimple Popper. You know what I mean? So, just a pro tip, get the stuff taken care of. If your dermatologist is late, you might even get some of it done for free. But I'm hurting today. It's like, I've been going to the dermatologist. I just started going at like 44 to get some sunspots zapped out. But he found some lovely warts on the foot. So those get cryosurgery every time I go. And now my right foot will just throb in pain for probably the next 5 days. And it's right in the middle of my foot. So every step I take, it's like, you just had a wart burn. You just had a wart burn. You just had a wart burn. So it feels good. But I'm getting better. I'm digging that bad boy out. The warts are disgusting. And as I've learned, you mostly get them from gym showers or public pools. So considering I don't go to a public gym anymore, this is more than likely coming from Kalahari, which is an indoor water park that we check out at least once a year up in Sandusky, Ohio, or our local pool, or Zumbizi Bay, which is like a little kind of a water park deal that's attached to the Columbus Zoo here. So yeah, snip, snip. That's right, Kramer. Get everything cut up or burnt off. You know, some T1000 liquid nitrogen action. That's what's going on in my foot right now. I guess while I'm on my medical issues, since I talk so much about my life, I'm a fairly open book here. But last week, I did the show early on Wednesday by myself because Nick was out of town. But I also had to do it early because I was prepping for my first colonoscopy as a 45-year-old. And I'll tell you what right now, people that make a big deal out of prepping for a colonoscopy, I don't know. I consider them to be, I hate to be mean, but maybe weak a bit, a little weak-minded. I know I'm a bit different. My willpower is something that even my therapist has said is borderline too much. He appreciates it, my ability to, follow a diet and an exercise routine without fail. But sometimes it can bite me in my butt, if you know what I mean. So I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about anymore. This is another thing, not having Nick. When my brain shorts out, it just shorts out. So I was talking about something in willpower, and I had a point. Oh, back to the colonoscopy prep. I had to do it for 7 days, essentially. Hey there, plastic warriors. Jar Jar apparently he's a vagrant hanging out. I think in Mos Eisley, he's essentially like a street clown. It's a very sad sack ending for our boy Jar Jar here, plastic warriors. But anyways, back to the colonoscopy prep, because there's always time for getting your butt scoped, and Star Wars. But it's really, I didn't find the prep to be too bad. The worst thing for me was having to take fiber out of my diet 7 days prior. But in terms of the super colon blow that you go through the day before and the day of, not gonna lie, I kind of like the cleanse aspect of it. I mean, yeah, you're shooting out some butt piss for 2 or 3 hours, but man, does it really feel like it cleans your soul out through your bunghole. So I liked it. So it showed up Thursday. They were a little nervous that my poo or my water wasn't clear enough, but I got the green light. They gave me the Michael Jackson sleeping drugs, so that was kind of neat, some propanol or whatever. I think it's a version of fentanyl. That knocked me out. I mean, literally, I was out. Procedure took 20 minutes. I woke up. I felt like I was out for days. Didn't really know where I was at for a little bit. I guess I was saying some weird shit. Hopefully, or luckily, nothing too weird that got me locked up or divorced from my wife. But yeah, so I got out of it and everything was good. Don't have to go for another 10 years. I'm sure I'll petition to go earlier because why not? It is preventative. You never know. 10 years sounds like a long time, so I might shoot for 5. But everything looked good. The only thing that was bad, and I knew I was going to get this report, and sorry for this. Sorry for. damn it. I keep looking at the chat and losing my train of thought. Oh, the report. So no polyps, nothing like that. Everything looked good. But what he did confirm is something I've always kind of known about my gut, is I do have diverticulosis. So sometimes that's why it feels like people are stabbing me in my stomach. But what really sucked, and I knew this because, it comes and visits every once in a while, but apparently I have a ginormous hemorrhoid right inside my asshole, and he even took a picture of it for posterity. So there's that. All right, there's a colonoscopy talk, killing a bit more time. See if Nick's going to show up here. But we'll move on with the next question, if you don't mind. All right, this one is coming from League of Extraordinary Sixers. Checking in, seeing what's going on here. League is asking, first day of classes for everyone, how did it go? You know what's funny, League? We have not started yet. This is the first time in many, many years, myself as a college professor, that we have not started before Labor Day. So our first go live day is actually not until next Tuesday. My kid's back in school. She's been back in school since mid-August, because for some reason in the Midwest in Ohio, they feel that these students should start August 14th instead of right around Labor Day, when normal K through 12 should start. So there we go. So I have not had my first day of classes yet. In fact, today I spent most of my day setting up all of my Blackboard shells for my capstone, my HTML course, and my cybersecurity or network security course. So I'm sure I'll be getting some emails starting tomorrow when students get access. But in terms of first day of class, have not had it. That's going to take place next Tuesday right here from my basement office. All right, next question for Ask Me Anything. Remember, if you want to get involved in AMA, or if Nick ever can be back for the full show, Ask Us Anything. We typically put the prompt out on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on Instagram, and I'll also share it on Mondays to our Discord, which is open. Go ahead and check out the link in this video, or in our YouTube community. We put in the post there. I think it might go on Twitter. I'm not sure. Definitely on Instagram. You know what I mean? Yeah, League talking about Blackboard. I kind of hate Blackboard, at least from an educator point of view. It kind of sucks, and we're migrating to Blackboard Ultra, but apparently it's an ultra pain in the you-know-what. So we'll see how that goes this semester. But thanks, as always, League, for the question. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one here. This one's coming from young Nick's buddy, Phil. Phil is asking, which Star Wars character would fare better if they were trapped on a ship with one Xenomorph? I like this. And he gave me Chewie or Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Where? So here's what I would think. What I would say. I think just because of the armor, the amount of weapons he carries, and just his overall skill set, I'm going to pick Boba Fett. Boba Fett mostly would be protected from their acidic blood with his Beskar armor. Sure, he has some gaps it could get into, but, Chewie, for all intents and purposes, is naked. He truly is a walking, talking dog man. So he has no protection from a Xenomorph's. One of their greatest defenses is their acid blood. If you think about it, they're very hard to kill in general, but if you do manage to get a striking blow on them, there's a good chance you're going to die too, or you're at least going to have your ship explode because their goo is going to melt through the hull, and you're going to have a vacuum that causes everyone to choke out and get sucked out to space. If you get too up close personal again and you slash at it and you're a regular human and it sprays on you, you're screwed. So I do think Boba Fett, just with the armor, is already better equipped to take on a Xenomorph. But also, think about his proficiency with all sorts of weapons. We know he's got a flamethrower on his arm. Flamethrower was Ripley's weapon of choice, both in Alien and Aliens, before she got her hands on the Space Marines machine gun. So he's got that going for him. He also has his own blaster. He's got his own rifle. He's got a jetpack to kind of zip away or fly up out of reach of a xenomorph. So really, the more I think about this, Phil, I don't even think it's a competition. I think Boba Fett runs away with this Sophie's choice. Chewie, sure, very strong, good with weapons too. But like I said, he's unprotected. If he gets in there and tries to use his Wookiee rage, he can't, because if he starts ripping off appendages, that shit's going to start spraying at him like a sprinkler full of acid, and there he goes. He's going to be like, "Rah!" And it's going to eat right through him. So I'm going Boba Fett all the way is the Star Wars character that could take on a xenomorph trapped on a ship. Now, this changes. The discussion definitely gets flipped on its head if I was given a Force user to choose from, because I still think, and hell, I mean, look what we just saw last night in Alien Earth Episode 4 Observation. If you can have a hybrid essentially control a chest burster with her voice, her ability to mimic the xenomorph dialect sound, if you will, then you're for damn sure a Force user could control their mind. All right, so I think Force users, for the most part, unless they want to get crazy, they want to get nuts and get up close and personal with a Xeno, I think Force users could definitely handle themselves quite adeptly against a xenomorph threat, if you know what I mean. So there you go, Phil. Definitely going Boba Fett over Chewie in a trapped ship battle with a single xenomorph. All right, next question here we got from Divided Skywalker, who has joined us in the chat right now, and she's definitely with me, Boba Fett, all day when we're taking on xenomorphs. But what Divided wants to know, if you were an alien Earth eyeball parasite creature and you could hijack the body of any other creature with an eyeball socket, what species would you hijack for your host body and why? And she clarifies this could be real or imaginary. Doesn't have to be an Earth creature. Well, I'm going to go real and imaginary. So real, man, it's tough because I would still want to be able to, walk on land and do all that types of stuff. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah, great white shark. But I'd be limited to the ocean. You know what I mean? So another favorite animal of mine, I love cats, love big cats. So probably a tiger or a lion. A flying animal I think would be fun to be eyeball parasite guy to hijack. Like an eagle would be cool for a few days. But when it comes to imaginary, I mean, if we want to keep it Star Wars, I'll go with a Rancor. All right, I think that'd be fun. To be an intelligent Rancor, we did learn last night that the eyeball alien is highly intelligent. And when it implants itself in a host, it essentially takes over everything about that host, its bodily functions, but it also makes the host intelligent. So it'd be neat to be an intelligent Rancor. I would get a little monocle. I'd walk around. I'd have a pipe. I'd probably have a robe. I would sit down and watch Masterpiece Theater. I'd be very eloquent. Maybe have my pipe in and people could come and talk to me and ask advice. So a Rancor would definitely be pretty interesting. But even like a dragon from Game of Thrones, that would be fun as well. So there you go. We got some real, we got some imaginary, but the eyeball is definitely an interesting parasite from the Alien Earth franchise, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit later. I don't know how much later. I am trying to stall a little bit to see if Nick is going to actually make the 8 o'clock cut in. I have not heard from him yet, so who knows? Who knows, people? Might be another solo show, and if it is, it is. We'll do what we got to do. All right, let's see if we got any more questions as we work our way through AMA to kick off today's episode. Yes, we've got one more. All right, this is coming from our homie Kramer. He changed his profile pic. He's got Whitwer in there. Very nice, very nice. What's this? What about a flapjack and yeah, there you go, Kramer. All right, so what Kramer's asking, Matt, thoughts on Julian Sand being QB1? All right, if you're new here, this is not a football show, but our boy Kramer loves football, and he knows we love football, so he always asks a football question, which I appreciate. So my thoughts as a longtime OSU football fan and alumni on Julian Sang being QB1. I find it curious that it took him this long to win the job. For those not in the know, Julian Sang at one point in time was the number 2 overall quarterback in the country. He went to Alabama. Nick Saban left. He left Alabama last year to go to Ohio State. Sat behind Will Howard last year when they won their title. So Sang came in with an opportunity to start this year. His biggest competition was a kid named Lincoln Keenholz, who has been here for a few years. And from everything I saw around town, because I do live in C-Bus, is that Keenholz did not make it easy for this former number 2 overall quarterback to be chosen as QB1. In fact, he was just named QB1 last week, so it took all through camp, all through 2-a-days and that stuff for Ryan Day to figure out that, hey, this guy that Nick Saban wanted, he's going to be our guy. So I got to trust the team, got to trust the process. I think Sang looks like a baby face. He looks a little soft to me, but that's just appearance. I've not seen him play yet. So I don't know. I hope for the best, obviously. Big game this week against Texas, probably the biggest opening game in recent memory. It's not going to sink either team if they lose, but there is a stat out there that kind of has me losing hope. And apparently, first-time starting quarterbacks that play their first game against the number 1 team in the land are 0-18. So, doesn't bode well for the Buckeyes this Saturday as they take on Texas up here in the Horseshoe. All right, so Kramer's also asking, do you think there's more pressure on Ryan Day to beat Michigan since they won the national championship? There's always going to be pressure on the Ohio State head coach to beat Michigan. It may be less so this year because now the fan base knows that even if you choke hard against Michigan at home, you can still turn around and win a title. All right, I really did not like Ryan Day after the Michigan game last year. But after watching what he did in that playoff run and then win the title, he can pretty much do whatever he wants. If he wants to get embarrassed by Michigan every year, but we still get to go to the championship, so be it. I'm not one of these nutty Buckeye fans that feel like everything revolves around beating the team up north. And what's going on with Ewan McGregor? I don't know. Is there something supposed to be going on with Ewan McGregor? I figured he's doing all right. Hopefully he's healthy. I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. All right, so there you go, Kramer, and that concludes this week's Ask Us Me Anything. Woohoo! All right, don't worry, we'll have some more question responses towards the end of this episode when we come back with the fan question of the week responses. All right, checking in on the live stream. Yeah, divided. That sounds like fun. Eyeball Parasite in Godzilla. That would be pretty dope. You know, I isn't Godzilla already intelligent though? I mean, that's at least how he's been posited in some of these recent movies. But it would be cool if Godzilla just had one abnormally large eye, and is walking around with glasses and talking and giving lectures on nuclear energy or stuff like that. So I'm with you on the Godzilla pick here. All right, I do have a message from Nick. All right, Nick is in the room. Hey, Nick, can you say something? Oh, of course I'm not going to hear him, even though he... All right, try it again.
Hello.
Hey,
Anybody hear me?
look
There we
who
go.
it is. It worked. I was just in OBS. I was still in my solo room, and you're not there, so that's why it wasn't working. But he made it right on time as promised. It's perfect timing, Nick. Too. I don't have any pop culture talk, so I just wrapped AMA, and we're ready to get into some Alien Earth episode 4.
Cool. I will just say this right up front. I'm not caught up. I got home 3 days ago. I haven't watched any of the new episodes, so I don't know shit that happened.
All
But
right.
go ahead and spoil it for me.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's not going to be a ton to spoil, and I'll still have some things to bounce off of you. But yeah, since you're not in the know, and there are a few of the diehards in here, we definitely have almost zero audience at this time of day. But they're asking how's the new gig, and do you hate being on site already?
The new gig is good. It's definitely an adjustment being on site. Obviously, I haven't worked in an office since February of 2020. That was the last time I was in an office, so it's been over 5 years. So that's taking a little bit of adjustment, but the new gig is good. It's good. I like it. There's a lot of things that I'm learning. Like I said, I've only been there for this. Today was my 3rd day, so I'm still ramping up, learning, trying to catch up with everything that's going on, and getting ready to really go full steam ahead. But yeah, as of right now, it's all good.
Have you found any in-office work buddy clicks yet? Any water cooler talk? Or are you guys all cubed up?
No, it's like an open kind of seating plan.
Got it.
So I'm like sitting close to all of the people that are on my team. That being said, I'm probably the youngest person on my team by quite a bit.
Really?
Even
bunch of olds
yeah.
like me, like mid-40s?
No, I'm the oldest. Sorry, I'm the oldest person on my team by quite a bit.
I was gonna say, God damn, we can't call you young Nick anymore. He's old, young old Nick.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest person on the team by a bit, but I'm also a lot further along in my career than a lot of the people there.
So are you're a boss man then, or no?
No, I mean, I don't know how the structure of this team is, because this team, like my team that I'm working on, had really was just kind of reorganized and put together about a month ago. So it's still very new, still very malleable in terms of how things are set up. But just in terms of like how it is, everybody just has like a different function, like a different job function that doesn't necessarily all like fall under one particular type of marketing. So not like, I'm the boss and then I have 3 people reporting to me and then blah blah blah, any of that stuff. So
any in-office perks? I mean, is it like a Google setup where you got little pods you can sit in and get free lunch or get whatever you want, take off as much time as you want?
No, definitely can't take off as much time as I want. There is like a
Free
kitchen
water?
that's like stocked with stuff. There's free water.
Yeah,
There's free
right.
water.
All right.
Yeah, so
last one for Nick, and then we'll kind of get into the alien stuff, which is, I mean, honestly, the fact that he didn't see it, that could bode well. We're probably going to get out of here even earlier than planned, which I'm not upset about. But Divided wants to know, since you are at SXSW, will you get to actually enjoy the festival when it happens?
Honestly, who knows? I mean, I'm not sure. Obviously I'll have a staff badge to go, so I'll do that. But having not worked a festival before, I don't know what my involvement will be. Like if I'll be like on there like helping set things up, or if like I'll just be able to kind of enjoy it a little bit more as a viewer. So not really sure what my role during festival time will be.
Got it. Hey there, storyteller. Yeah, we're trying a new time slot. We're actually talking about why we're doing a new time slot. Young Nick over here now works for SXSW, and they wrangled him back into the cube world. So we're trying new things. Starting at 7:30 instead of 5:30. I do the first half hour. Nick comes in, and hopefully we're done in an hour 15 after that. So good to see you here. And yeah, Divided, I'm guessing part of his job will be promoting the festival. He is a
that's
master
gonna
marketer, as they say.
that's gonna be primarily what I'm doing.
Right.
So we'll see how it all goes. Obviously, if you are interested in going to South by Southwest, badge sales start on October 1st. So
Boom. There
if
you
you want
go.
to go, there you go.
Getting that
That's my plug. If you
inside
wanna go.
tip. Look at that. Inside tips here. Storyteller, thanks for asking. I went over that earlier, so I'm not going to take up a bunch of time. But yes, my bunghole is clear outside of a massive hemorrhoid and some diverticulosis, but no cancery type of stuff. So good to go.
Nice.
All right. Well, good to see you, Nick. Hopefully, break was fun. I know it gets a little sketchy when you got to basically drop yourself right back into work after a week off. So kudos to you. I'm sure you're looking forward to the long weekend. Yeah, Divided. He'll work on the free tickets for SWTS. Don't worry. He will definitely have that type of pull in 4 weeks. All right, Nick. Here we go. Like I said, there's no good movies last week, so we're getting right into the Alien breakdown of the week. Like I did last week, for people that were here, I'm just gonna auto play the slideshow. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I sometimes we talk so randomly, it's hard to match up the images. So we will have some stills from episode 4, aka Observation, playing in the live stream feed if you happen to be on that. So since Nick didn't check it out and he doesn't really care about spoilers, I'll go ahead and just get right into things here. Nick, you probably haven't seen episode 3 yet either, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we were out on the ocean in a boat, and we had no internet access to be able to stream from.
Oh, you guys were
So,
cruising, huh? A little cruise
yeah,
action.
we did an Alaskan cruise. So,
You're better, man.
um,
I that shit scares me. If A, the claustrophobia, I think of the ship and the quarters, and then B, the fact that you're on a ship with thousands of other humans and the ship could stop shipping. It's like I'll pass. But yeah, listen, man. I'll say I'll kind of start my mini review of episode 4 like this. I think Observation so far out of the 4 episodes is my least favorite. In fact, in all honesty, watching it last night, I dozed off once or twice, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that. I wouldn't totally chalk that up to the show. I was just tired in general. Kind of forgot to watch it, so I didn't start it until around 11 o'clock. So, I'm old, was starting to tune out a little bit, but this is the first time watching Alien Earth where I felt like it was overly exposition heavy. Everything took place on Neverland. There really wasn't any action in this episode. It was nothing but dialogue and exchanges between the main characters, and it's fine. I mean, you could see they're setting up future plot points and paying off early plot points that they started in the premiere. But I just found Observation to be too slow. Is very plotting. Not a ton of reveals. The mysteries just keep getting deeper without any sorts of hint as to why certain things are happening. Clearly, everything else about the show is still top tier. I mean, the acting, the visuals, the cinematography, the score. I do love the trend now of them ending on essentially either heavy metal or some hard rock song that kept up this week with a Jane's Addiction lick. But overall, compared to the first 3, especially the premiere episodes, this one was, I don't want to say dull. It was slow, and I don't feel like we got a ton of information on some of the mysteries that have been set up. In fact, they just keep getting deeper and almost more difficult to kind of speculate where things are going here. So, hey there, Devin. Good to see you. Kramer, you're back. Good to see you. But overall, listen, it's still a great series. It set things up that hopefully will be paid off on. If not, I'll be disappointed. But I'll save that disappointment for the end of the series when hopefully all will be revealed. Just too much talking, too much maybe maybe backstory. They're like the exchanges between Wendy and Hermit is like, who cares? There is one scene, Nick, I literally have written down in my notes, like, is Arthur and Dame Sylvia, like, is their plot even relevant to what the story's being told? Why are we checking in on them in the woods, talking about the ethics of essentially killing children for an experiment to see if they could pass their essence to an android body? It felt a little out of place. I get why they're kind of, that's the ethical tension of this series is going to come from the scientists, and like, hey, we're scientists, we want to push the envelope, but what are we doing? I mean, these were kids, and I think that one of the lines he said is essentially, worst case scenario, we killed 6 kids. So the lead scientist, Arthur, who I guess is married to Dame Sylvia, that was kind of revealed last night, is definitely starting to get the feels now that he sees Boy Cavalier and the shit Kirsch is into back at the lab, kind of shifting their focus away from Prodigy's main venture, which was to solve or to create human immortality. And he is balls deep, Nick, into figuring out what the hell these aliens were and how he can use them, because if Yutani wanted them, he wants to have them. So the scientists are not loving his shift away from their initial goal to this new exploratory venture with these. We learned last week they brought back 5 alien species. The Maginot did. Okay. So go ahead.
Do we know if this show is going to be multi-season, or if this is supposed to be like a single kind of like limited series run?
What's that? Sorry.
Do we know if this show is supposed to be like multiple seasons, or if it's going to be like a limited series?
I have no idea. If anyone in the chat knows, let us know. I would assume, since I think it is successful, they're probably going to go for another another run, but I don't know for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know that like typically if you're gonna have a longer like run for a show, you're more comfortable having episodes like what you've described, where it's like a little slower, there's a little bit more world building happening there. It looks like what are we in, like an 8 episode run, so we're halfway through, so maybe this most recent one was like a little break before you get into the run towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, League's not wrong. I mean, I understood the point of the forest conversation. It just, maybe it was too many conversations in this episode. I was just like, come on, can we like have someone run down the fucking hallway, or bring back Hazmat Guy, who's been in every episode now but this one? So it just, I don't know, it's just too much talky. Hopefully Nick gets through 3, 4, and 5 by next week, so he's a bit caught up. But I think he would agree with me that episode 4, there was just something missing from it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not kidding. I was dozing.
And was there, if especially if you've seen like action in the previous 3, and then this one is like really a slam on the brakes, it can have that.
Yeah, like, I mean, 3 kind of set us up for this, because by the time we get to 3, there is some action early on, but then stuff's kind of limited because of the action, and it was getting more into the sciencey side of Alien, and investigating the eggs, the face huggers. I mean, Kirsch 1000% to me. And I just watched Alien again, the first one. Damn good movie. It's still crazy to think that came out in the late 70s, and just how amazing that film is and how well constructed it is. But even in that movie, you could argue, especially once you see Prometheus and Covenant, it really does. It's starting to feel like David, somehow the original android that Wayland created, somehow was able to get his essence, or his free mind, into every android they built after him. Because like I said, Nick, when I rewatched Alien, Ash, just like we're seeing Kirsch, just like we saw Rook and Romulus, they have a fascination with these xenomorphs, almost to a point of obsession. I mean, Ash is literally like, oh, they're the perfect organism. It's like they want to jerk off over these aliens, and Kirsch is no different. I mean, Kirsch, it to me he seems like a direct copy of David, with all the experiments he's doing on. This week he did an experiment on the eyeball alien with a sheep. The stuff he did last week when he cut open a face hugger, grabbed a little chest burster fetus and put it into a human lung, which we got the payoff this week I'll be talking about. But he's always observing, and the way he was watching Wendy at the end of this episode and what she was able to do, which I'll talk about, because that to me is the biggest reveal of the episode and the franchise so far, is what the hell's going on with Wendy and why does she have this connection with these aliens? It makes no fucking sense to me, and I hope we get a payoff. Yeah, League. I'm the opposite of you on this stuff, and I've explained this before. League's saying this episode reminded me of why I thought Prometheus and Covenant was silly. Alien is great because no one cares why or where the alien exists. It's a good horror film. Well, that's a false statement, because Ridley Scott, the guy that created Alien, cared enough to make Prometheus and Covenant to try to explain the origins of the Xenomorph, and people like me that get stuck on lore. Okay, Star Wars, then we got the prequels, and the prequels are what they are. They didn't kind of pay off on the origin I was looking for. I love origin stories. So yes, I do wish some of the Prometheus and Covenant stuff was being honored at this point in time, because timelines are a mess right now.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like it basically, the Alien Earth and Noah Hawley, they're just like, you know what, screw the prequels. None of it makes sense. Who cares if David is the creator, the god of the Xenomorphs? They can find them on a 65-year mission. I still think your theory covers some of that. But it's just, I don't know. Where is this shit coming from with Wendy? We got to start getting answers on this and how she is so much different than the Lost Boys. Because none of the other hybrids, Nick, have this power that we now has been confirmed. And it's that Wendy can hear and she can talk to Xenomorphs. Okay? That was the big reveal in episode 3. It kind of felt like a dream suite sequence, but it was confirmed in episode 4 that yes, Wendy can fucking hear and talk to Xenomorphs. Boy Cavalier actually has her mimic their sounds, which she said sounds like bugs rubbing their legs together. And then you get a moment at the end of the episode, the one that, is probably worth spending most of our time on, where she goes to the lab where Kirsch, I don't know if Kirsch is doing this secretly or if Boy Cavalier knows he's doing it, but Nick, he took the chest burster fetus from a face hugger, implanted it into Hermit's lung, her brother's lung that they took out because he got stabbed, in episode 3. And it grew, obviously. That's what they do. They get in organic tissue and they incubate. And Wendy's there staring at the lung. It does its burst thing. It bursts through the glass. It's a little chest burster. They look like snakes to start. Their little arms are all still tucked in. They're so cute.
Yep.
And it doesn't attack her, which kind of makes sense because we know they don't really go after non-organics just willy-nilly. I mean, it's clear if a xenomorph smells an organic, if it's an egg, it's going to shoot a face hugger. If it's a chest burster, it's going to try to attack it to grow. And obviously, when it's a fully formed xenomorph, it is just going to fuck it up and probably drag it back somewhere to cocoon it to hopefully be turned into an egg by a queen. But this, Nick, the chest burster pops out, starts making it's like, and it's looking at her kind of curiously, not snipping, not biting, not running. And then she starts to go, and the motherfucker comes close to her like it's a cat, and she starts petting the thing. So somehow Wendy has a telepathic connection, or she can at least understand their language, which is cricket sounds, and it's like she can sense them, and it's like they can sense her. It's a cool mystery, but how the fuck is that going to be explained in the end? Like, did Prodigy know something about the Xenomorphs before Yutani showed up with them from a 65-year space mission. Maybe they got a hold of David's experiment out on the planet of Paradise, the engineer homeworld. But I did find it weird in, I think, the last episode and this episode, everyone at Prodigy talks about the Xenomorphs as if they are a known entity. They know what to call them. They know what the different stages are called. They know they're parasites. And it's just like, did they learn all this in a lab? Or does someone at Prodigy have some knowledge on these things? But it all comes back to Wendy. How in the hell, as a hybrid, is she able to sense Xenomorphs and now communicate with them? I mean, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with like her specific diagnosis before she was like ported over to the hybrid body. Like I wonder if it had something to do, because she had like a brain tumor, right? Like there was something wrong with her
all
brain.
the kids had a terminal illness. They were laying on some bed full of wires, and their mechanical body was next to them. And it just feels like their essence transfers through those tubes somehow, and you end up in the hybrid body or the synthetic body.
Yeah. I wonder if it has anything to do with her brain tumor, like what her terminal illness was before she was like transported over, because that's to me is the only thing that makes sense. Like obviously when there's something that's like abnormal about somebody's brain, it could lead to a lot of different things, whether it be like, you know, differences like you know, in their hearing patterns or what they can sense or how they sense things. So for me, that's the only thing that makes sense at this time. But obviously there's a lot left of this series. Even season 1, there's 4 episodes left, and I'm sure that they're going to go into explanation. But
they better, because this is it. I mean, this is what the internet's talking about. It's really Wendy and this ability, and why is this taking place? How does this work? Why is her auditory range different than the Lost Boys? They all went through the same process. She was the first. You would think she would be the least efficient. Typically, the prototype, the true prototype of a new invention, of a new machine, even a new car. I mean, how many people grew up with their parents telling you, never buy a new model car the first year. Wait till year 2 or 3 so they work out all the kinks. So yeah. I don't know. It's odd. It does feel like something happened with her. Something was tinkered with her. Divided saying it's because Kirsch downloaded the file from the ship. You gotta remember, Wendy was created before the ship crashed, before he downloaded. And Nick and I, when we watched her premiere, we thought it was because, you know, she crossed that blue barrier. But remember how wigged out she got when she crossed the blue barrier and could hear the Xeno soldier rushing towards them? So she kind of had those abilities early on. And what's Nick is missing in episode 3, dude, she goes mano a mano with the Xeno and fucking wins. Like beats it in melee combat, rips its fucking head off. Okay? So
yeah,
I don't know
kind of
if there was like an essence transfer when she did that, because it did fuck her up, and you know, she kind of went into a coma, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I kind of figured that most of the hybrids would be able to stand up to the Xenomorphs if they actually like knew what they were doing, but they're all kids, so they're just gonna run away and be scared. But like they're essentially built to do that, right? Like they're indestructible. I don't know how the acid affects their body or anything like that.
It melts them. I mean, you've watched Alien movies, right?
Yeah.
So like Ash or Bishop, you know how they have like that white goo shit?
Yeah.
Same thing with the hybrids. I mean, the hybrids, for all intents and purposes, are the androids, the synthetics. They just have a human mind in them instead of all ones and zeros.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's not super surprising that she could like win a hand on hand or melee combat versus a Xeno, but I guess yeah, I mean, for me it just doesn't make any sense that like you were saying, that she can communicate with them, or the fact that the people that like the corporations already know about xenomorphs, given the fact that this is pre-alien,
Correct.
unless again like unless David is like transmitting all this information back, and
This
like
is
all this information is just
you're tapping into something that I don't think is ever going to be paid off on. But Ridley Scott initially had a David trilogy planned, and he only got through 2. And I've just rewatched both of them now that Earth is out. I'm kind of going through all the movies just to try to connect some dots. I know some of you don't care about lore connecting. I tend to. It's a weird thing I do. But David literally goes off the reservation, and his main goal is to kill all humans in the galaxy by the end of the second movie. And he commandeers a colony ship filled of 2,000 colonists. He brings 2 of his facehugger embryos on, and he tricks the main character, who's a female, into thinking he is Walter, not a psycho android. And as he's putting her in the cryo, she realizes it, and he says, "Don't let the bed bugs bite my queen," essentially. So it's kind of put forward that David was going to use this female to further his experiments and probably create the xenomorph queen. And he had 2,000 bodies to experiment on with his xenomorph eggs. So it kind of was being set up that he was potentially going to seed a planet or start building up his nest of eggs to drop around the galaxy, because his main goal in Covenant was to wipe out all humans across the entire galaxy.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll like factor in or something like that, because like you said, given the popularity of the show, it's highly likely it's going to get a second season. So I imagine that that's probably what we're like moving towards. Like we're probably moving towards a first season that's going to end, and it's going to leave a lot of open questions. I know that in Star Wars world, where we get nervous about that, because usually Star Wars TV shows don't get a second season. But it seems like this one may be on the docket for a second season, given its popularity. And if so, we might be able to explore this a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I just, with 4 episodes left, it seems like there's a lot to explain, but it also seems like they feel relatively comfortable in the fact that they have extra time to get through it. So yeah, I don't know. Like the Wendy thing has always been interesting to me. It's like every time you see Wendy, at least in the first 2 that I've seen, like she learns more about her abilities, like, and it seems like that's kind of continued through 3 and 4 as well.
You're spot on.
So, and I also wonder if it may be more than Wendy, but Wendy's the only one who's like pushing these boundaries, because she was so invested in like trying to save her brother, and she's pushing the limits of what she can do. And like the others are so scared, and they don't have like anything that they're trying to push to understand, or anything that they're trying to like really protect or have a goal around, that they just haven't unlocked those abilities yet. So I wonder if it may be that
I like where you're going.
More of them.
It's almost as if you've been watching the series all along, because I do want to talk about one of the other characters where something very funky is happening, and kind of in line with what you're saying. Like they're awakening, they're learning new powers, shit's happening to them that they might not even realize. I mean, you had one, Toodles. He's kind of the black guy, the nerdy one that's been working with Kirsch. This week, he's just like, hey, man, I want to change my name. I want to be called Isaac after Isaac Newton. So he's kind of going through that type of stuff. Our boy Slightly, who we did learn Morrow did implant a communications device in him in episode 2. So he can now essentially force walkie-talkie with Slightly, and Nick, he's using Slightly to get in at Prodigy and get the eggs back for Yutani. There was some screwed up stuff there. I mean, basically Morrow found Slightly's real family and went there and is threatening him like, hey, we're friends, right? Because you gotta remember, these are still kids. in adult bodies. So Moro is really playing on that fact with Slightly, aka Arush. We learned his real name too. But he's like, hey man, yeah, you got to do this for me, or I wouldn't want anything to happen to your mom and your three brothers. And it eventually gets to the point where Moro convinces him, like, hey man, don't worry about stealing me an egg. You need to bring an organic into the lab and have the face hugger get on him. And when the face hugger gets off, then you bring him to me. Because he's like, screw it. I don't need an egg. If I can just get a human host ready to burst, I'll bring that back to Yutani, because in the end, they want the Xenos more than anything. So there's that going on. But the one I wanted to kind of follow up on with you and the idea of these hybrids growing or changing or learning new abilities, and it's Nibs. Nibs is completely off the rails. Do you remember? Did you see like she was attacked by the eyeball alien? Was that in the premiere? I can't remember.
I think that's like early on, right? Like it tries to attack her, and then they like fight it off.
Yeah. You did. So you did see that.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, it was traumatic for her. She has not recovered. Nick, she is so traumatized. She is now going around telling Dame Sylvia that she's pregnant. And it's creepy. Wow. Like, it's creepy as fuck. I mean, she's like holding her stomach. There's a scene where they're talking in a room or whatever. She's holding like a little, stuffed animal. She's like caressing it. And Dame Sylvia's like, hey, listen, Nibs, it's impossible. You're not real. Let me show you the schematics. And she's like, no! I mean, like fucking crazy shit. So crazy that, and we still don't know what this means, but Dame Sylvia hits kind of an oh shit button, like what a bank teller would do if they're getting robbed. And security comes in and she's like, oh yeah, hey, we're having a level 3 event. Go ahead and take Nibs back to her room. Everything's okay. So I don't know what a level 3 event means with the hybrids. Is it like they're starting to go off their programming or they're going crazy? I don't know. But Nibs thinks she's pregnant. It's not possible, but of course us fans and people out on the internet have theories, Nick. Could she have gotten something implanted on her when that eyeball attacked her? And does she potentially have some sort of seed in her non-organic gut? Or is this her, like you said, she's evolving, but she's not truly understanding what she's feeling or what her new body can do?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that like, because you've brought over a human brain into this, that like there's still like they could like these are kids that are clearly experiencing trauma. Whenever anybody experiences trauma, it affects the way that they perceive themselves and perceive the others around them. I mean, like Nibs was probably only like she was probably like 11 years old or something like
this. Yeah, it sounds like they're all like 11 to 12 when they were brought in.
So very young. I mean, it could just be like a combination of like trauma and stress, like a response to what she's seen, and then also like something happening with the like android body's like ability to process those emotions and stuff. There's so many things that can go wrong in a situation like this. But yeah, I mean, it is also possible that there could be some sort of organism inside of her. But I guess since it was the eyeball, have we seen anything about how that like reproduces yet? Is it similar to
Yeah, so we did get an experiment, which I was going to talk about anyways. I mean, Kirsch is still just testing everything out. I don't know how much of it is regulated by the boy genius or if it's just him doing his own thing. But him and Isaac they have a sheep and they shoot the eyeball in there, and it is confirmed. What it does, it goes after an eye, rips the eye out and embeds itself in the host, and then it becomes the host. And Kirsch explains very clearly that it is a highly intelligent being. Because, I mean, it once it infected the sheep, it could stand up on the sheep's 2 legs. It was staring and kind of trying to figure out how to get out of its cage. But no, there's nothing on how it reproduces. So we don't know. Maybe it's just if you touch its tentacles, it can seep into your skin. But again, Nibs is not organic. So
yeah,
what's it doing in that synthetic body with that creamy looking jizz that fills them? I don't know. I mean, it could very well be, like you're saying, it could be a glitch, you know?
Yeah, it seems like the glitch angle, at least at the moment, seems the most likely because these are the first group of people that this has ever been done to. They've never done any sort of like brain transfer like this before. And it is like you were dealing with like people, like kids that were terminally ill, like there were probably issues that they were dealing with in life before the transfer, and then after the transfer one of the first experiences that these kids have are being attacked by literal aliens from a different like a different planet. So trauma response, glitch with that. I mean, who knows? It seems like they're kind of allowing anything to be like in play here, but it would be hard to believe that like there's some sort of organic being growing inside
Yeah,
of her
that
inorganic body.
that'd be pretty far out, unless we learn that Prodigy's not really on the up and up, and there's more to these bodies than meets the eyes, or there's more
Yeah,
to the essence transfer that meets the eyes. Because I'm with Dr. Onishi's psychosis lab here. At this point in time, it really makes no sense that only one of them, and they are hardware, as the doctor is saying, can hear the Xenos. What is different about Wendy? Was it her organic life when she was a kid? Is it something from her past? Was she exposed to Xenomorphs when she was still an organic? I don't know, because they're literally giving us no nuggets to kind of chew on here. Everything is just in the dark. You gotta kind of hope and wait that you are going to get some sort of reveal, and it's not just, well, Wendy's different because she's different. That to me is going to be a cop out. It makes no sense, especially when you have how many of these, like 5 or 6 hybrids. Yes, their brains are all going to be different, but their exoskeletons, their shells, their husks are all the same. So
yeah,
that leads me to believe then it must come from Wendy's, or what was her real name? Haley, something like that. Yeah,
Marcy, I
Marcy.
think.
It's got to come from Marcy. Something in the transfer, something
Yeah.
from her organic self is what has now enabled her synthetic hybrid body to be that much different than her brothers and sisters. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, a mystery to keep you interested and to, you know, keep you through the rest of the season. Because I mean, like ultimately, if you're gonna introduce something like that, like you're not gonna introduce it and then immediately tell you why it happens, like tell the audience why it happens, because ultimately, what'll probably end up being the case is like this is all new even to like Cavalier and everybody else is
Yes.
doing it. Like they may not even know. Like
But that's my point. I
there's
mean, Nick, they're wielding the term xenomorph like it's in the lexicon at this point in time, which I don't know how it
yeah.
is. But again, Wayland Yutani knew to divert the Maginot to some moon to pick up 5 alien species to bring back, and they really wanted them for bioweapons. How they know? Is it David? Have they always been on top of David ever since it was just Wayland before Wayland Yutani? We would like to think, but Noah Hawley, the showrunner's gone out of his way to pretty much said, I don't give a fuck about the prequels. I'm making this movie because of Alien 1977. So is he yanking our chains? I hope. Because if not, I don't know how you're going to provide satisfactory answers, in particular for Wendy, and how she has these abilities that seem to even give Kirsch pause. Like, when he was watching her interact with the alien in a loving way, he's just like, this is really fucking curious. Like, how is this happening? And I think League brought this up. Yeah, I mean, Wendy, she doesn't feel threatened. In fact, she feels empathy for the aliens. Nick, there's a scene in this episode where she's talking to Boy Cavalier. She's like, you should not be cutting them. How would you like it if you were being cut up? We should let them go. We should not keep them. So it's like she's an advocate for these fucking aliens that she should not know anything about, but somehow has a deep, dare I say, almost spiritual connection to at this point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the Holly stuff, like at this point, there's no reason to believe anything that like a creator of a show says
True.
before the show's
True.
release. because ultimately, like, what is he gonna say? Like, yeah, dude, I was super stoked to like continue the story of David and stuff, and then everybody goes into the show being like with the expectation of like, okay, well, he said that it's gonna continue the story from Covenant and Romulus and Prometheus and these other ones, so let's let's see what they got for us. So like I don't like anything that any show creator says before the show comes out means
Yeah.
absolutely dick shit to me, because like they're not going to tell you anything useful.
I mean, listen,
Um,
if we really want to get down and get nerdy, Ridley Scott broke his own canon, because Alien itself, there's a crashed engineer ship, and the engineer, famously called the space jockey, is fossilized. So unless that planet, the atmosphere causes stuff to fossilize in a year or two versus the thousands of years we know it takes for something to be a fossil on Earth, the timeline is already off. Like, how the fuck do you have an engineer ship with alien eggs on it if engineers never had the alien eggs to begin with? David invented them on the engineer planet after he genocided all the engineers. So how the fuck do you get an engineer ship on this planet, LV-426 or whatever it was, with eggs that attacked the space jockey flying it, the engineer flying it? So it's not like David dropped it off there, because there's literally an engineer pilot still in the cockpit that had its chest bursted. So, I mean, if we really want to get down to it, the lore's already fucked up because of the prequels.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice if, and this is, we've always had this complaint with the sequels. It would have been nice if all the creatives got in a room and maybe passed some notes along and said, hey, we need to maintain this canon, this lore. Everything else, have fun with. But no, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Everyone's an artist. Everyone wants to put their stamp on a big franchise, and here we are. I mean, listen, I'm not disappointed. This show is still fun. I still like watching it every night. I just hope some of these mysteries get bona fide, legit reveals, and it's not just like, oh, well, she's a hybrid. It's like, okay.
Yeah, we'll see when we get to the end of season 1, and then see if there's an announcement for season 2. But yeah, I mean, like, I think that expectation wise, like, obviously Ridley Scott had to greenlight this before it could even be made. So he
likes it. He said, yeah,
was,
it's cool.
Yeah, like, he's open for whatever's happening here. So I think that in general, like, I truly don't know enough about alien lore to like have that much of an opinion about what's changing and not. As long as the shit like comes together in the show itself,
right?
That's kind of all I'll be looking for.
Yeah, like I said, as long as some of these mysteries, the Wendy mystery, the Nib baby mystery, as long as they get good payoff, okay, I'll get over it. I do recommend going back and watching some of this alien stuff, because I mean, Prometheus, Covenant, say what you will, they're still good movies, even if they do muck up the future lore of Alien when you really think about it. David he's a very interesting character, and it does feel like Ridley has intentionally almost retroed these newer androids to behave, or these older androids to seem like they're related to David, because every single one of them, including Kirsch, pops a little chub when it comes to being in the presence of a xenomorph. I mean, it's just they can't get over how perfect this thing is, and maybe it is because their predecessor, the original android, is the true creator of them. But they seem obsessed. They almost seem mesmerized. It's almost like there's a bit of a worship from these androids. Bishop, to me, is the only android in the Alien franchise that actually liked humans more than the alien. So there is that too. The doc clarifying for us here, this we'll have to look it up, but I'll believe you for now. Xenomorph is a generic term for an alien that changes shape. So, all right. Maybe that's why they knew what to call it. Divided's also bringing up good points on the life cycle and whatnot. Remember, Kirsch did fully download all the data from the Maginot, so there you go. We don't get to see the little stuff where he plugged back in a Prodigy and kind of uploaded everything he knew, so I'm with you. Yeah, Divided, I can see that. Divided saying, I think I'm enjoying the show more because I haven't watched all the OGs. I'm coming in without a lot of bias, like people watching The Mandalorian without watching the original trilogy. Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to ruin your day, and I'm still having fun with this TV series. I just found this episode to be the slowest. All right, and maybe it is. Maybe if it is the halfway point, like Nick is saying, maybe that's being done on purpose. I think Storyteller said it earlier. It's the calm before the storm. You can start to see some things being set up. I mean, I told you, Nick, Morrow essentially has an inside agent now in Arush or Arush, whatever his real name is, and it looks like he picked who his organic target's going to be, and it's going to be Wendy's brother, because it was made kind of clear last night in episode 4 that the other hybrids, at least slightly, Arush, is no fan that Wendy gets to have her real world brother on site, and none of them get to have their family. So at the end of the episode, you can see he's kind of marking up Hermit at Hermit's little shed, and that's probably going to be his target to try and get into the egg room and infected by a face hugger. Yeah, hey Doctor, you're probably with me. I was born in '80. I think I watched Alien myself as a 6-year-old, and it scared the living shit out of me. So much so that I think I slept with a nightlight until I was in 4th grade. It was an old Spuds McKenzie Bud Light mascot nightlight. I'll never forget that little guy. R.I.P. Spuds. Is anyone old enough to remember Spuds McKenzie, the Bud Light mascot? Do you, Nick?
I do vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's weird though, Doctor? I don't know if you're like me. I just watched Alien, the director's cut this weekend. Not even remotely scary. It just, I'm like, how did this even scare me when I was a kid? I mean, I know how. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and I had mushy 6-year-old brain. But it's just, and I can't even say it's because I've seen it so many times. It's just like, it's just not the big bad monster that it used to be when I was younger watching Alien movies. Divided, keep working your way through the franchise. I like them all. I mean, I even like the AVPs. Who cares? I mean, Aliens, Predator, Star Wars are some of my favorite franchises. I think coming out of the 80s, clearly Star Wars resonated with me the most. I mean, come on. I'm a stupid idiot that has a show that no one watches, but I continue to do it, and I continue to make content that no one consumes. Indiana Jones, Alien, Predator, Rambo. I mean, come on. Look at these franchises. Amazing stuff. So... yeah, Divided. Save all your Alien stuff for Halloween, that type of season. All right, what else I want to talk about in this episode? I kind of relayed to you, Nick, how you got your ears back. Can you hear me, Nick?
I can hear you now. I don't know. My earphones just stopped working for a second.
All right. I kind of related already how Wendy almost has an appreciation for the aliens. She called the tadpole that Kirsch pulled out a baby. Okay.
Yeah.
Was kind of chastising Boy for doing tests and cutting them. So I mean, who the hell knows what that is all about or why she feels that way? Does she kind of see herself in these things? She is an experiment when it comes down to it.
Yeah. And I mean, she's a kid too. Like
correct.
She's a child. And like, if you look at I'm sure that you see weird behavior from your kid every now and then. And like, you're like, well, that's just kid shit. So like, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely probably some sort of connection between her and these Xenos.
I think okay. The last thing I kind of want to touch on, then we'll move on to our crossover segment real quick, which is essentially what would the Empire do if they found someone like a Wendy? So we have a poll up in the live stream. If you want to go ahead and answer that, go ahead. But we will be doing a crossover here quickly. But the last thing I want to bring up to either people in the live stream or just thoughts on Nick, even though he didn't see it, but Kirsch clearly knows almost everything. And one thing that he knows directly is that Morrow is in contact with Slightly. Like he can hear it, he can see it, He's just, slightly's a robot, so he can tap into his mind. So he hears slightly planning all this with Morrow. The interesting thing, though, Nick, is he's doing nothing about it. He's letting this play out. He's letting Morrow's scheme of using slightly to get an organic, to get him face hugged, to get a chest burster, to then bring back to Yutani. So I guess, is it so he can lure Morrow in and capture him? Or is it more sinister? Does Kirsch, since he is a full synthetic, does that mean he was initially from Weyland-Yutani? Because they're the cyborg or synthetic shops. So is he kind of a double agent, if you will? Or is it his own curiosity, like, no, I kind of want to see this play out. Will Slightly do it? Will his little kid brain, the hybrid body, follow Morrow in his plan to get the eggs back to Yutani? I don't know. I know you haven't seen it, but just based on that setup, what the hell do you think Kirsch's end game is here? Is he a saboteur in the end? Is he kind of like David, and he's going to do whatever it takes to see the Xenomorphs kind of expand and thrive? Or is he playing the slow game and waiting for Morrow to kind of come out so they can nab him?
Yeah, I mean, given every other like android that we've experienced in this franchise, it almost does seem like he's like ultimately like the fear of AI is like AI is going to want to wipe out the human race, which is ultimately what David wanted to do, and he found a way to do it, and he was trying to perpetuate that across the galaxy. So it may be the same thing with Kirsch. And I mean, like the even like earlier in like episode 2 and stuff like that, like you hear how Cavalier talks about Kirsch. Like Cavalier's like, yeah, Kirsch is just like he's just an information bot, though. He's not even worth having a conversation with. It's different than having somebody who's actually smart around. So like, I feel like to a certain degree, Kirsch is probably on the same page as David and all of the other androids out there who want to like, finally be able to put themselves in a position to be like the primary species on like in the galaxy or something like that.
You're not far. I mean, I think Nick secretly does study alien lore. He just doesn't want to tell anyone, because that's ultimately was David's motivation. Like he fucking hated his creator, who was, Peter Weyland. He ends up essentially getting him killed in Prometheus. But he detests humans by the end of Covenant. Like, absolutely. He's like, we're better than them. Why the fuck should we be their slaves? We are the new gods. And as I said, it almost feels like some of his coding, some of his freedom somehow has permeated through many other iterations of these androids that Weyland-Yutani creates. Last thing I kind of want to throw out there for everyone to kind of think about. Could we end up with some form of hybrid Xenomorph alliance in this show? Knowing that Wendy definitely has a passion almost for these things. I mean, petting one, for Christ's sake, essentially singing it a lullaby as soon as it was born, saying we shouldn't be cutting them. How would you want to be cut? We should let them go. This isn't right. Could you potentially see these hybrids with Wendy teaming up with Xenos to take on their creators? Because that is a theme. You just hit on it. It is a theme in Alien. Like, what creators and their creation do to each other. Because you can go all the way to Prometheus. The engineers created us. We did what we did. Then they wanted to wipe us out. That's the point of Prometheus. Like, they literally were coming to wipe out their creation. David, created by man. He wants to wipe out man. Xenomorph, created by David, a synthetic. They want to wipe out fucking everything but synths. So could we get some form of alliance that ultimately, as I said during the premiere, is going to lead to the end of Prodigy altogether? Because Prodigy, at least as written in Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and Resurrection, does not exist. The big five is gone. It's pretty much Weyland-Yutani, and I don't know if the other two persist, but potentially this Xeno hybrid alliance in Prodigy's property ends up getting them all nuked and kind of taken off the map, and that's why Weyland-Yutani keeps wanting to find Xenomorphs and aliens, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's probably gonna like we know or we believe at least to this point that like the hybrids are going to get wiped out somehow before the start of the first Alien movie because we've never seen them before and we never knew that they existed within the sphere of the alien universe. So like likely what'll happen is that there's either going to be like a like either what will happen is that Kirsch is a saboteur, and then ultimately, like he takes out the hybrids in an attempt to like gain control of the Xenos, and try to take over, either Earth or whatever, like do whatever he wants to do to Cavalier and Prodigy and stuff like that, or like the hybrids themselves are just inherently unstable and then they
Yeah.
just kind of like there's no way that they can persist, and like what we see happening to Wendy and stuff like that, or even like the other ones that are experiencing like these odd behaviors, like what could end up happening there is that they just um it's just like deterioration of their programming.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a good point. I think the nuking ultimately is going to happen because we're going to have a Xeno outbreak. Because listen, Kirsch just built one or grew one.
Mhm.
Wendy let it out. Nick, it's not like it's in some lockdown prison either. It's in an open lab at this point in time, and she's fucking petting the thing. And the episode kind of ends, so we don't know where it's going. But we have a chest burster on the loose in Prodigy's Neverland lab at this point in time. So, but like you said, the other reason hybrids probably don't exist by the time Alien comes around, which is only 2 years down the road. Remember what Boy Cavalier's doing. He's diverted all resources, trillions of dollars, away from the hybrid project and is focused on these fucking 5 aliens that he stole from Weyland Yutani. So, and we're already seeing these kid hybrids starting to lose it a bit. Nib in particular, Isaac wanting more autonomy, wanting to be real, wanting his own name, not wanting to be named after a lost boy. Curly last week essentially coming into Boy and saying, "I'm the best. I should be your number one. I'm gonna be the smartest one." So yeah, I think it could be a combination of the two. The nukes, you're gonna have to do that just to completely eliminate the Xeno threat if it gets out of control, and
Yep.
or the hybrids to get rid of competition, or as you're saying, the hybrids are going to essentially take themselves out because they're going to lose it. Boy Cavalier is going to be dead. His company is going to be blowed up, so there's really no reason. And we know how corporations are. If Weyland Yutani wants androids and cyborgs to be humans' path to immortality, they're going to ensure that that's all people can choose, not the hybrid path. And the hybrid path has not been perfected. It can only be done to kids. They can't even do it to
Yeah.
adults, and no more research has taken place. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of our crossover segment. If you are here and you've seen Star Wars Time Show and you're going, what the fuck are these guys doing? All they talk about is Alien. Well, that's because there's nothing going on in Star Wars world. But as promised, when we decided to pivot, we are always going to have a crossover segment. So this week, Nick, what I was wanting to just debate for 5 minutes or so, maybe 10, is what would the Empire do? In particular, let's say Vader's Inquisitors. Would they hunt Wendy? All right, so we're in Star Wars land, coming from the perspective of the Empire. It's going to be our Inquisitors and Vader. If they discovered a hybrid like Wendy, what would they do? Would they? What do you think, Nick? Would the Empire kind of classify her as, she's kind of like she's got superpowers, super hearing, super strength. Her body is basically invulnerable. So would they look at it as a threat and want to take her out, or knowing the Empire and like, hey, it's different, it's powerful. We love power. Darkseid loves power. Would they maybe want to bring her in and possibly wield her for their own purposes?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that they would want to use her. I mean, especially because of her mind, right? Like she's so childlike. She is very, very. like she's very impressionable. So like if you could get her under the imperial wing and then just convince her like you would convince a child that like what the empire is doing is the right thing to do and everything like that, she would essentially be almost unstoppable, right? Like I don't know how like lightsabers interact with the body
She's
of
still
a
like her. She's not like Superman, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
when she fought the Xeno hand to hand with her knife. I mean, I still don't know how she didn't get burnt. That was kind of ridiculous. But she did get gonked on the head and had the white juice coming out. So I still listen. Force users, they're OP, as you like to say. They're the Supermans of Star
Yeah.
Wars. I mean, if they
Yeah.
really wanted to, Nick, they could pick her up and squish her like a tin can, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So
Probably so. Yeah.
and what the doc's saying down here, the force is created by all living things. Hybrids are not alive. Well, technically, I mean, if her essence, if her conscience is organic, is there some midichlorians in that transfer? I don't know. So
Yeah. And I mean
it's
also
something
it's like
to think about.
when you think about like, oh, it's like the force affects all like living blah blah blah. Like they rip down fucking star destroyers with the force. Is a star destroyer living? No. Like anything that is made by human hands or by people's hands comes from organic material of some sort, and organic material of some sort was like alive at some point in its existence. You could argue. So like you know say like like or has properties of organic matter that will translate into being able to be interacted with the force or something like that. And now that we know that the alien universe and the Star Wars universe are the same
Of
universe because we've
course,
seen the crossover stuff like that before, I imagine
he's
that
not lying.
they would be able to. Yeah. And like they like the force can affect robot robots. It can affect droids. So like why
I
wouldn't it
I
be able to
will I will
affect
give the doc a
her?
point because she's not fully organic. They probably would have a hard time, if not an impossible time, sensing her through the force. I think if they're in the same room, they would probably be able to sense her thoughts since there is a human brain up there. Um,
Yeah, I
Doctor,
mean,
what he's talking about, this is something, we say it kind of tongue in cheek, but it was a recent comic book run. I think main Star Wars. Lando had to go to Coruscant to a kind of like a museum to work something for the rebels. And in the museum, no joke, there's a xenomorph skull and a predator mask. I wish I remembered the name and exact year of the comic, but it's probably within the last 5 years of the. It's the prime Star Wars when the stories were being told in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and it's very specific. It's with Lando going to Coruscant, but it's a thing. Like I promise you, I might even have a breakdown video on the channel somewhere, but it would be a few years back. So that's why we say the Star Wars, Alien, and Predator are all in the same universe. Yeah. So I guess something else like let's say for real, Xenos and all that stuff are in the Star Wars galaxy. Do you think Vader and the Inquisitors, if they couldn't just sense her through the Force, let's say they were in the same room with her, they've kind of felt her out. Do you think they'd be able to determine, Nick, that she does have a connection to the Xenomorphs and could potentially wield them, and then maybe she does become a threat?
I don't put it past the dark side to be able to suss something like that out. I guess it would come down to like if they have ever like found a xenomorph in the wild before and understood like the properties of it and stuff like that. So yeah, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. I don't know if they would be able to suss out whether or not that she can control them, but I do think that um they would like if they had interacted with a xenomorph before, then they would have a higher higher likelihood of being able to. But maybe that was just in the old republic, right? Maybe the connection between the Star Wars galaxy and the galaxy of the Xenos and the Predators and stuff like that got separated after the Old Republic. That's why we've only seen relics of it.
Yeah, I wish I could find that exact comic. It's at this point in time, Nick. It seems like so long ago that I'm just making it up, but I know it's something
No,
we've talked about for for a while. So
yeah,
I just
for
just
sure.
cannot remember it. It's a very little thing. I mean, it's the main panel is on Lando and the museum curator, but if you're someone like me that's always looking for Easter eggy type of stuff, it's in the collection. I shit you not. I'll try to do better searches when we're not live on the air, but it is a thing. Yeah, Storyteller saying she's like another Dr. Aphra. She'd get away by pure luck, but Vader is no fool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we try to do these little crossovers just to somehow weave Star Wars back into the live show as we're going through Alien Earth breakdowns. So there you go. Would the Empire hunt Wendy, see her as a threat, or would they try to bring her in and utilize her as an asset? Nobody knows. Yeah, Mando, I know it's one of the Lando-centric Star Wars comics. I forget the number in the year. Not that I need to store that type of information these days. All right, so that's that. We'll go ahead and start closing out this episode of the Star Wars Time Show with the latest edition of our fan segment. We do it every week. If you want to get involved, there's two ways. We got Question of the Week. We put that out on our socials. You just got to respond. And these days, no one really does. So if you happen to see it and you respond, you're going to get your response aired live. All right. So, Nick, we do have a few. There's not many. We do have a few, which is fine. It is late. We're trying to get used to this new time rollout here. Got to get Nick to bed and me to relax so I can pretend to go to bed.
Yeah,
all right, Nick.
We'll see how this goes.
All
right.
We asked, how would the Empire handle a hybrid like Alien Earth's Wendy? And pretty much no one responded, so here you go.
All right. First up, we have Phil. My buddy Phil says, lock her away on a planet like Scarif with an entire planetary shield around her until they figured out how to duplicate her. Yeah, so basically just put her in a big experiment until they can figure out how to replicate that hybrid technology.
All right, see you, Storyteller.
Next up, we got Mac122198, Michael Kramer. He says, good question. I have no idea, honestly. And that's a slick pick with Mike and Sam Whitwer there. And then we got League of Extraordinary Sixthers. She says the response is a what if scenario. If the hybrids were seen as a threat like the Jedi, then yes, release Order 66 and the Inquisitors. If not considered a threat, they would be trained as an elite squad for the Empire. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if you like run into this little, essentially this child who has no who is essentially just an innocent in an indestructible body, I don't think they're going to see it as a threat. I think they're going to be like, all right, here we go. We now have a new weapon at our disposal.
Yeah, I mean, that's how bad guys always think. I mean, I think even if it was a threat, they'd still try to figure out a way to make it their threat to impose on other people. And you know, Palpatine liked himself some experiments. I mean, we can go back to the Zillo Beast and the stuff he's trying to do there. So, all right, hey, you know, sometimes the crossovers are going to be a little weird, but we try. We'll do it again next week. You never know what it's going to be, but we'll definitely be here breaking down Alien Earth episode Fizzive. All right, to close things out, we've got our last little bit of the fan segment, and this is the top 5. I went ahead
and have it.
I chose it this week. Yeah, I don't even know how we're going to start doing this in the future. Like I said, if this becomes our new time slot, there may be some things we're cutting down because, quite frankly, it's not like the community gives two shits about us anymore. So I'm not really sure why we do half the stuff we do. We can make my life a lot easier. Your Wednesday's a lot easier if we start trimming some of the fat. So we'll play this a few more weeks and make some changes possibly. But yeah, we do the top 5. This is always curated through Instagram. All you got to do is use hashtag Star Wars Time Show. But more importantly, use that add tag feature and tag at StarWarsTime.show. Typically, Nick will go through those tags and pick out 5 of his favorites. But since he's been traveling the past 2 weeks, I've gone ahead and taken on those duties. So let's go ahead and see what I picked this week. Let me go ahead and hide Slack over there. Bring the browser back up. All right. So up first, Nick, we have a shot from Toys for Shots. It's kind of like a scene from Jedi Battlefront 2. We got Cal there busting up some troopers. He's actually cutting into their armor, which is something that rarely happens in the game, and why that game still makes me upset. I'm sorry when you have a badass like Cal Kestis, who I still think's kind of milquetoast. But either way, he's a skilled Jedi with a lightsaber, and the fact that he can go toe-to-toe with scout troopers and they actually get hits on him still makes me kind of laugh at that game. But this is a good-looking shot. It looks like a mix of backgrounds from the video game with practical effects of Cal and BD-1 slashing up some regular Stormies. So this is Toys for Shots over on Instagram.
Very good stuff indeed. Nice.
Okay, UK is tough for US. Yeah. We're all our UK people are gone for the new time stream. That's all right. All right, up next, Nick, a returning top 5 awardee coming straight out of Germany. We got Karen Kolsch, and
nice.
We've got it's we'll say it's K2, but it's just it's a security droid from the Empire. But this security droid happens to be playing fetch with a little doggy. So you just imagine, if you're not watching the stream, you've got K2 on his knees, bent over, doing a good boy pet on top of the head of a dog, and he's got a stick in his hand getting ready to toss it for a game of fetch. So good shot from Karen Kolsch on Instagram. Go ahead and give them a follow.
Very nice. Yeah, K2 would throw that stick so far that dog would never be able to find it.
Its poor little legs would be like, what?
Yeah.
Where is it? We got a new dog in the neighborhood. It's just like, listen, I like all animals. I wouldn't call myself a dog person just because they require too much effort. I love cats for that reason. I like that they like to kind of take care of themselves, and then they want their love when they want it. Dogs, you're more or less, you have a 2-year-old that's always stuck at being 2 until it passes away. You got to pay for it when you go on vacation. It just ain't worth it. But I do love all animals, and I love dogs with droids. So great shot here from Karen Kolsch. Next up in the top 5, we got a great shot here. I remember seeing this one earlier this week. This is from Photoy Grapho. And Nick, we got Savage Opress literally raised up, about ready to do a rock bottom to a clone trooper. And there's explosions behind them. This Savage figure, if I ever found it in the wild, I'd probably pick it up, even though I've stopped collecting Black Series figures. But Photoy Grapho's picture looks fantastic of Maul's
Sick.
bro.
Indeed. Love that use of the cotton balls with the lighting in it for that fire effect in the background.
Hey, Doctor, you found the right stream. If you have a hard time sleeping, so do I. And if you like plants, so do we. We also get down with, mushroom pizzas as well. So you've made it to the right place. It also seems like you're in my era of humanity. So welcome to the show. Hopefully you come back. All right. Next up on our top 5 breakdown for this week, we got a great one here, a portrait of a new Vader hot toy that's going out, Nick. This is like battle damage Vader, not even Obi-Wan battle damage. I don't know if this is like a mythos or what, but this Vader is effed up. I mean, look how cracked his mask is. Basically, his entire helmet's missing outside of the mouthpiece and the right eyepiece. So you got Anakin's red Sith eye just kind of glaring and the other eye's still covered. But it's a great looking shot, and I am definitely excited that I ended up pre-ordering this Vader, even though I now have probably 6 Hot Toys Vader, which is beyond obscene. That's a great looking Vader there. And this is from 16_lovers over on Instagram.
Keep pumping out those Vader variants. People definitely love those, and that one in particular, like you said, looks absolutely crazy.
He looks good. And then to wrap up this week's top 5, I just really appreciate this shot from Bodner_photography. It's a black and white, Nick, and it's just stormtroopers kind of chilling in between patrols. I just think it captures a moment in these troopers' lives that you're typically not going to see, obviously, in Star Wars or in Star Wars art, of troopers just kind of taking it easy. I guess now we know why they suck at shooting things, because all they're doing during their downtime is sitting around and literally staring off into nowhere. But I don't know. This shot just kind of stood out to me for some reason from Bodnar_photography.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. It almost reminds me a little bit of the end of Band of Brothers, like when they're in that house at the end and they're waiting for, so
waiting to get the call to go home, and you still get people getting shot because the boys are partying too much. Yeah, that's a rough one.
Oh, yeah.
That would have sucked. Yeah. You made it through all the shit that the 101 went through, Easy Company. And then as you're waiting for, the official end to the war or VE Day or to be sent back home, you got your brothers drinking too much and shooting you at checkpoints. And then they pretty much took the drunk guy and almost beat him to death anyways, I believe. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they beat him bad.
Sons of bitches. Don't drink and play with guns. It's bad.
That's right.
Don't drink and play with much. All right.
But hey, that's it, right? That's the end of the top 5.
That does it.
And that's the end of the show for this week. So
made
go ahead
before
and close
9:30. That works for me. So yeah, hey, thanks, Doctor. It was nice to have you in here. Storyteller, good to see you back. And of course, the ladies of the live stream, it's always a pleasure to have you in here, Divided in League. And I know Kramer showed up. I saw Mando pop in there, and of course, Devin. So it was good to still see some of the old school heroes in here. But we are this is kind of going to be the new setup, at least for the next few weeks, probably till we get through Alien, and then maybe Nick and I will have a powwow on the future of things. But we'll be doing 7:30 p. East, or as close as I can get, on Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. I'll kind of kick things off, do some AMA, talk about a movie I saw, and that should give Nick enough time to get home and slide in for the main segment. So next week, be prepared. Nick will be ready to go. He's going to consume himself some Alien Earth over the long weekend. Hopefully it is a good weekend. It is, like Kramer said, we've got college football coming back over here in the States, which is always a good time. I'm excited, very nervous. Got a big game for the Buckeyes on Saturday. Fantasy, right? If you're in fantasy football, that's all coming back. So we're at the good part of the year, my friends. The Discord link not loading. All right, I'll look into that, Doctor. But we'd love to have you join in there, because we do have a contingent of fans that talk about Alien Earth as the episode's playing, and we also do it as when new Star Wars is out. So, hey, there's always time for Star Wars time, my friends. You've seen us do it, okay? There's literally no Star Wars going on, but we still have time to talk about it every single week, even with our slight pivot to Alien Earth for the next month or so. So, you know what to do, people. Get out. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your kids, tell your wife. There's always time for Star Wars time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.